Hey everybody, this is Matthew with Forging Your Legend, where we help people turn their toughest battles into their greatest legends. Today, I want to share with you the ways that you can respond to difficult thoughts and feelings that come up for you. In other words, triggers that arise. And they're going to arise whether you are on a long, arduous healing journey or just living a regular human life. So I'm going to first give you the list, and then I'm going to give you examples, and then I'm going to leave you with some notes. So, first, before I get into the list, let me say the foundational elements of this are you need to do this consciously, you need to do this lovingly, and you need to do it with some kind of empowerment. That's going to be as important as the way in which you choose to respond. The way you respond will matter just as much. So here are the ways that you can do that. And before I share that, give this a like, subscribe, follow, share, etc. First way, you can reroute the pathway to something more positive or more beneficial. Second way, you can lovingly hold space for what's going on. Give it the moment that it needs to just express what it needs to express and let it go when it's ready to go. Third way, it's a combination of the two. And then finally, if possible, sometimes you can actually just logically solve a problem by walking through it and saying, what can I do? So we'll get to that. So the first way, redirecting. This is often a great idea if you're dealing with something like, let's say, 24/7 symptoms that distress you, but that you can't really get rid of at the moment. You've tried to solve it logically. There's not an immediate solution. So you've realized the best way is to not get looping into them. And you've also realized that, you don't necessarily need to hold space for it because it's just a constant thing, and that's not really what you need. So you go through the process of saying, stop. I recognize what's going on here. I'm going to give myself some love and some care and some encouragement. I'm going to make a new choice, and I'm going to back up that choice, reinforce it with whatever actions feel appropriate. Maybe some visualization with your 5 senses, or some movement, or some breathing exercises, or what have you. That's a form of redirection. Second way, just simply lovingly holding space for what comes up. And that might be to just sit in silence as the objective, curious observer and let the feeling be there. Let the thought be there without fighting it, without justifying it, without trying to make it wrong. Just let it be. And that might be appropriate with something where there's a real human feeling that you need to allow to have its space. Maybe somebody you love passed away. Maybe you got some new news that's kind of challenging, and you actually need to allow yourself the space to feel for a little bit before you go to redirection. That can be a really valid thing to do. And with either of those, a side note, I feel like prayer can fall under both of those. Prayer can be about redirection, and it can also be about somebody choosing to let the thing be there and giving it to God in the process. It's probably a little bit more about redirection, but I feel like prayer can also be about holding space as well. And then the third thing is to look at a combination of the two. Like I said, prayer can fall into that, but you might also do something where you first allow the feeling to be there. You give it 30 seconds or a minute, and you give it all your love, all your reassurance. You breathe into it, and then you redirect it from there. So the third option is often the best option. Not always, but that can be a great option for people. And then the fourth option would be when you can logically solve a problem. And this is more common than you'd think, where your brain is really just looking for you to be rational with it and to say, here's what we're going to do. So you can ask yourself in a situation, is there a solution to this problem? And is it something that's in my control? Is it in my power to do? If it is, well, fantastic, do it. Solve the problem. But if it's not, don't let yourself spin around in circles trying to, wish that it could be different. That comes back to the first one, redirect. Or the second one, where you maybe need to hold space for the fact that you feel a little bit powerless, but don't stay there too long. Maybe that's one where you would want to allow the humanity of a feeling briefly and then give it a redirection. You see how this is not set in stone. There's different ways that you can do this, different ways that you can approach this. It's more about, like I said, consciously, lovingly, and with as much empowerment as you can manage, just meeting the moment and saying, all right, I am an agent of love and empowerment, and I can make a choice here. And then you do. So, as you can see, you could probably take any of these to an extreme. If you're constantly trying to solve a problem, that's not always healthy. But if you never try to solve the problem, well, you can end up missing some really easy solutions. If you're always trying to redirect, well, you can end up suppressing real human feelings that need to be felt. But if you're always just allowing the feelings, you can end up wallowing and feeling kind of directionless, and you need to lead yourself a little bit more by saying, okay, I can feel my feelings to a point when there's a productive reason to feel them, but I'm not going to allow myself to wallow. It's all about balance. It's really about just finding that place that works for you, and that's a dynamic thing that will change from moment to moment and from trigger to trigger. So with that being said, I hope you found this very helpful, and feel free to share this with somebody who you feel could benefit from this. Thanks so much for watching, and take care of yourself. I believe in you. You got this.